The Galactic Council believed war was a thing of the past. For centuries, the great empires of the galaxy had worked together, ensuring peace across the stars. Trade routes flourished, colonies expanded, and ancient battlefields were nothing more than ruins covered in dust. The universe was safe, or so they thought. On the edge of council space, Lieutenant Kara Varys sat in the command chair of the scout ship Horizon. She was young but sharp, with a mind that never stopped questioning things. Most officers enjoyed their peaceful assignments, but Kara found it boring. She had studied the old war records, the conflicts that nearly wiped out entire civilizations. She knew peace never lasted forever. "Horizon, report your status," came a voice over the communicator. It was Admiral Raylan, stationed at the nearest command post. "Everything's normal, Admiral," Kara replied. "Just another quiet patrol." "Good. Keep it that way." The transmission ended, leaving only the soft hum of the ship's systems. Kara sighed. She leaned back, staring at the star-filled screen. Another routine mission. Another day wasted. Then an alarm sounded. Kara sat up straight. What was that? Her co-pilot, Ensign Dren, checked the sensors. His four-fingered hands moved quickly across the controls, his orange skin pale under the flickering lights. "I don't know. We picked up a ghost signal." "A ghost signal?" Kara frowned. Dren hesitated. "It's an old term. Sometimes deep space scanners pick up echoes, radio waves from long-dead ships, signals bouncing off asteroids. Usually nothing important." Kara wasn't convinced. "Where's it coming from?" Dren zoomed in on the sector map. A red dot blinked in a restricted area of space, a place no ship had visited in centuries. "The Perdix Expanse," he said. Kara's heart skipped a beat. The Perdix Expanse was a graveyard of lost ships. It was where the last Great War ended, where thousands of vessels had vanished without a trace. "Let's get a closer look," she said. Dren hesitated. "Admiral Raylan won't like that." "Then we won't tell them." Horizon adjusted its course, gliding toward the Perdix Expanse. As they approached, the ghost signal grew stronger. It wasn't just an echo. It was something real. Kara stared at the data scrolling across her screen. "Dren, this signal isn't random. It's repeating." He looked up, his face pale. "It's a distress beacon." A distress beacon from a ship that should not exist. The closer they got, the stronger the signal became. And then, as they passed through a thick asteroid field, they saw it. Floating in the void was a massive ancient warship. It was unlike anything seen in centuries. The hull was battle-scared but still intact. Strange markings covered its surface, symbols of a long-lost empire. And on its side, half buried under layers of dust and debris, were words written in a forgotten language. Kara's translator struggled for a moment before displaying the name in her native tongue. Iron Revenant. Kara's blood ran cold. She knew that name. Everyone did. It was the most feared warship of the ancient human fleet, a ship that vanished over 500 years ago during the last war. A ship that should have been destroyed. Yet here it was, floating in the darkness, its lights flickering back to life. And it was waking up. The awakening. For a long moment, Kara didn't breathe. The Iron Revenant loomed ahead, its ancient hull covered in the scars of battles fought long before she was born. The ship was massive, almost the size of a dreadnought, yet it drifted silently through the void like a slumbering beast. Then the lights flickered. A low hum rumbled through the ship's structure, deep enough that even through the Horizon sensors, Kara could feel it in her bones. The ancient warship wasn't just a lifeless relic. It was waking up. Dren's voice trembled. This isn't possible." Kara's fingers tightened around the controls. It just became possible. She tapped a command, sending out a standard identification ping. The Horizon system took a second to process before flashing a response back onto the screen. "Warning. Sea Sci-Fi shipped ET. Do not APPROH. Extreme danger. TATUBS. Unknown. Dren gulped. That's not good. Kara didn't move. Extreme danger. Unknown status. The Revenant was supposed to be a legend, a ghost from humanity's last war, a vessel so powerful that even the Galactic Council feared it. It had disappeared centuries ago, along with its crew, lost in the final battle between humans and the Dominion. But here it was, alive and responding. A burst of static filled the Horizon's cockpit. The ship's comm screen flickered, distorting with a sound that sent chills down Kara's spine. A voice. Low, mechanical, ancient. Identify. Dren's hands hovered over the controls, his entire body tense. Kara, that's not a recording. The Revenant was communicating. Kara swallowed her fear. This is Lieutenant Kara Varys of the Galactic Council Scout Ship Horizon. We detected your distress beacon. For a moment, there was only silence. Then, the Revenant's lights flared to life. Red emergency beacons pulsed across the warship's surface, illuminating massive gun turrets, armor plating thicker than any modern ship, and battle-worn scars that spoke of wars long forgotten. Then the voice returned. Human command authority. Not recognized. Kara frowned. We're not human. Another pause. Then a different response. Unknown life forms detected. State your allegiance. Dren whispered. It's scanning us. Kara's heart pounded. The Revenant was still running its original protocols, identifying threats, determining friend from foe. But humans were long gone, wiped out after the Dominion War. If this warship was waking up now, it meant something bad was about to happen. She took a deep breath. We're not enemies. The Revenant did not reply. Instead, the ship's engines roared to life. Massive thrusters ignited, pushing the warship forward. The entire Perdix expanse trembled as the ancient monster moved for the first time in centuries. Dren's eyes widened. It's repositioning. Kara checked the readings. It wasn't just repositioning. It was locking onto something. A new alert flashed on her screen. Incoming energy signature detected. Kara's blood ran cold. It's targeting something. Dren's hands flew over the controls. What? There's nothing here but us. Then they saw it. From the darkness of space, another ship emerged. Not a Galactic Council ship. Not a Dominion ship. Something new. A massive angular battleship, black as night, with no markings, no insignia, no broadcast signal. Its hull shimmered with strange energy, almost like a void in space itself. Kara had never seen anything like it. But the Iron Revenant had, and it was preparing to fire. The forgotten enemy. The Iron Revenant's cannons glowed with an eerie crimson light, a clear sign that it was charging its weapons. Kara's breath caught in her throat. It's going to fire. Dren's fingers flew over the Horizon's console. We need to move. If that thing shoots, we're done for. The black battleship drifted silently in the void, its surface unnaturally smooth, as if it had been carved from pure darkness itself. No insignias, no lights, just a shadow against the stars. Yet the Iron Revenant recognized it. Target identified. The mechanical voice crackled through the comms, emotionless but heavy with something Kara couldn't quite place. Was it hatred? Engaging. A deep, rumbling vibration spread through space as the warship's main cannon charged to full power. Red arcs of energy crackled along its ancient plating, gathering at the mouth of a cannon large enough to vaporize a moon. Kara's instincts screamed at her to run. Dren shouted, "We need to get out of here. Now." Kara's hands clenched the controls, but something inside her hesitated. Something was wrong. The black battleship wasn't moving. It wasn't reacting at all. No shields, no evasive maneuvers, nothing. Like it didn't need to. Her heart pounded. Why isn't it? Then everything went dark. The Horizon's systems shut down in an instant. No lights, no sensors, no sound. Just emptiness. Dren gasped. What the hell just happened? Kara couldn't answer. She could barely think. The black battleship had done nothing, yet it had disabled their ship as if flipping a switch. How? Then the revenant fired. A massive beam of red-hot plasma erupted from its main cannon, illuminating the void like a newborn star. The sheer force of the shot rippled through space, bending the very fabric of reality around it. It slammed into the black ship and passed straight through. Kara's breath caught. What? The black battleship remained untouched. Dren's voice shook. That's not possible. And yet it was. The plasma blast that should have turned any normal warship into molten scrap had simply vanished. No explosion. No damage. Like the black ship wasn't even there. Kara's mind raced. Was it an illusion? A hologram? Some kind of advanced cloaking? Before she could answer, a whisper crept through the comms. Not a message, not a voice. Something else. Something ancient. Something hungry. Dren clutched his head, his face twisting in pain. Do you hear that? Kara did. Not with her ears, but deep inside her mind. A feeling. A presence. A single word echoed through her thoughts, cold as the void itself. Finally. Then, the black battleship moved. Not forward, not sideways. It folded. Reality bent around it, like a tear in space itself. It wasn't flying. It was shifting, slipping through the universe like it didn't obey the same rules. And it was coming straight for them. Kara's heart slammed against her chest. Dren, get us out of here. Dren struggled against the controls. We're dead. Systems are still down. Then, for the first time, the revenant hesitated. The massive warship, once an unshakable force of destruction, now reeled backward, its engines flaring to life as if trying to escape. The mechanical voice crackled again, but this time, there was something new in its tone. Fear. Impossible. The revenant's guns powered up again, but it was too late. The black ship unfolded. A shadow spread across space, swallowing everything in its path. The horizon, the revenant, the stars themselves. Then, nothing. The war that never ended. For a moment, there was only silence. No alarms, no comms, no engines humming beneath their feet. Kara floated in absolute darkness. Her heartbeat was the only thing she could hear. Then, light returned. The Horizon's systems flickered back online. Control panels flashed, screens rebooted, and the low hum of the ship's power core whispered back to life. Kara gasped, drawing in a sharp breath as she scrambled at the controls. Dren, are you? Dren groaned, rubbing his head. I'm here. His voice was shaky. What the hell just happened? Kara looked outside. The iron revenant was gone. The black warship was gone. No wreckage, no debris, just the endless void of space stretching out in every direction. It was as if the battle had never happened. Kara's fingers tightened around the console. Where did they go? Dren checked the scanners. I don't know. 1 second. They were here. The next. He exhaled, staring at the readings. Nothing. But Kara knew. They hadn't escaped. They had been erased. Something about that black ship. It didn't just fight its enemies. It unmade them. And yet, the horizon was still here. Why? Then, a whisper. Faint, distant. It's not over. Kara and Dren both heard it. They turned to the comms. A single transmission blinked on the screen. An old signal. A very old signal. Dren frowned. That frequency. That can't be right. Kara looked at the origin point. Her blood went cold. The transmission wasn't coming from a planet. It wasn't coming from a fleet. It was coming from deep space. A sector long abandoned. A place no one dared go. Kara's voice was barely a whisper. That's the... Before she could finish, the message played. A voice. Old. Weary. A voice from the past. To any survivors. The war isn't over. It never was. If you can hear this, it's already too late. The message cut out. Kara and Dren sat frozen. The ship's scanners pinged. Something was coming. From the void. From the place where the war had never ended. And this time, there would be no survivors. The forgotten battlefield. The horizon's warning alarm screamed. Something was moving in the void. Not a ship. Not an asteroid. Something bigger. Dren's fingers flew across the controls. I don't understand. There's nothing on the scanners, but... A deep metallic groan echoed through space. It wasn't coming from the horizon. It was coming from everywhere. Kara's heart pounded as she stared at the vast, empty darkness ahead. Then, a shadow moved. A shape too enormous to comprehend. The stars behind it vanished, swallowed by its sheer size. Dren's voice cracked. That's... Kara knew what he was going to say. The Iron Revenant. Or what was left of it. Because now, it was something else. Something wrong. The black warship was barely holding together, its hull warped, its structure cracked open like a dead husk. And yet, it moved. No engines, no thrusters, no life signs. But it moved. A flicker of blue light pulsed through its broken frame, like a heartbeat. Kara whispered, "That thing should be dead." Dren swallowed hard. Then why is it looking at us? The horizon's sensors went haywire. Radiation spiked. Gravity distorted. The fabric of space itself seemed to bend around the wreckage. And then, the whispers returned. The war never ended. We fought. We died. But we never left. Dren's hands shook. That's impossible. That's... A new ping on the scanner. Another signal. No, not one. Hundreds. All around them. Kara's throat tightened. Dren, there's more. The black void shimmered. And from the shadows, they emerged. Ancient warships. Dozens of them. Floating. Broken. Dead. But somehow, still here. They were trapped in time. The ghosts of a war that was never supposed to end. The comms crackled. A final, terrifying message came through. A voice. Desperate. Furious. Hollow. You weren't supposed to find this place. Now, you'll never leave. The warships turned, and the battle that time forgot began again. Escape the endless war. The first blast nearly tore the horizon apart. A lance of blue fire ripped through the void, missing them by meters. The shields flickered, struggling against the sheer power of the ancient weapons. Dren yelled, jerking the controls. Kara, tell me you have a plan. Kara's eyes were locked on the scanner. The dead ships, or whatever they had become, were awakening. Weapons hummed to life. Energy signatures surged. Engines that hadn't burned in 1,000 years suddenly roared back into existence. And every single one of them was targeting the horizon. Kara snapped into action. We need to get out of here. Now. Dren's hands flew across the controls. I'm trying, but whatever this place is, physics doesn't work right. The warships moved unnaturally. Not with thrusters. Not with inertia. They glided. As if time itself bent around them. You can't leave. The whisper slithered through the comms. Kara felt it. Not just in her ears, but in her mind. Dren gasped. Did you hear that? Kara clenched her fists. They don't want us to leave. She looked out the viewport, and her stomach dropped. The battlefield was shifting. The wrecked warships weren't just attacking. They were hurting them, forcing them deeper into the anomaly. Towards a massive structure in the heart of the wreckage. A station. A command center. No. A graveyard. Thousands of ruined ships circling a central core. And the core was alive. It pulsed, beating like a heart. Dren's voice was hoarse. "They're dragging us into the war." Kara's mind raced. If they went any further, they wouldn't just die. They'd become part of this nightmare, like the rest of them. Trapped. Forever. She grabbed the emergency systems. "We're not staying here." Dren frowned. "What are you?" Kara slammed the Horizon's reactor into overload. The ship shuddered violently. Energy surge. The engines howled in protest, nearly ripping themselves apart. But for one brief second, the ship broke free. The warships reacted immediately. Dozens of them turned in unison, preparing to strike. Boom. A massive explosion ripped through the battlefield as Kara detonated their fuel reserves. The Horizon lurched forward, flung out of the anomaly at impossible speed. The warships screamed, not with sound, with rage. UTA and AST. But they did. The Horizon burst into real space, the anomaly collapsing behind them. Silence. Darkness. Then, stars. Real, unmoving stars. They were out. Dren panted, hands trembling over the controls. We made it." Kara didn't answer. She was staring at the console, at the new transmission. A final, chilling message. One last whisper. "You only delayed it. The war is still coming. And now, it knows your name." The war awakens. The Horizon drifted in silence. No alarms, no weapons fire, just the hum of the damaged reactor and the distant flicker of distant stars. Kara and Dren sat motionless, staring at the console. The message still lingered on the screen. You only delayed it. The war is still coming. And now, it knows your name. Kara's breath was slow and measured. It followed us. Dren's fingers tightened around the controls. That's impossible. The anomaly collapsed. She looked out the viewport. The void was calm. Too calm. Then, a light blinked on the scanner. One signal. Then two. Then 100. Then thousands. Kara's blood ran cold. The warships hadn't been trapped in the anomaly. They had been waiting. They were never dead. They were never gone. A deep rumble echoed through the ship. Dren stared at the sensors in horror. They're facing in. One by one, they emerge. From the edges of reality. Not warships. Specters of war. Twisted hulks of forgotten fleets, appearing from nowhere, blinking in and out of existence. Their hulls glowed with eerie blue veins, pulsing with unnatural energy. Kara's hands clenched into fists. They're real. Dren's voice shook. They're coming. A signal flared in the distance, a single beacon. The iron revenant. No longer broken, no longer drifting. It had rebuilt itself. It had followed them. A deep mechanical voice boomed across the comms. The war never ended. The war cannot end. You will fight. The stars trembled. Space itself rippled as the ancient fleet surged forward. And in that moment, Kara realized the truth. The anomaly wasn't a prison. It was a war machine. A wound in time, keeping the war alive. And now, it had been unleashed. Dren's voice was barely a whisper. What do we do? Kara's jaw tightened. They had two choices. Run, and let the galaxy burn. Or fight, and end the war for good. Her hand hovered over the controls. The fate of the universe was in their hands. She took a deep breath and made her choice.